Oh, I forgot it was recording. Right, then hello everyone. Seems like it is my turn next. And I'm supposed to see if Yishun has more crime than the other parts of Singapore. And you know how to do that? The best way to do that is to do some data analysis. So yeah, I did a preliminary search on CNA, but it doesn't really help us get anywhere because the news may not even be about Yishun, or there's news about other things that aren't really related to crimes, and it's just a mess. However, there are a few crime news about Yishun that catches the eye. So I searched for more specific data, and this mothership article comes around telling me that the NPCs have some data, some pretty nice data. And yeah, they have a graph there, but honestly, even if the NPCs are a reliable source, I can just depend on one single graph from 2016. So I went to see if there was data over many years, and jackpot. Yes, so let's get this data analysis fired up. Alright, so it's time to do some analysis. Oh wait, I'm so sorry. Let me get rid of this. Okay, so here in the Jupyter notebook, we will be doing some analysis, and I've actually cleared out all of the outputs that we can look at it together. So the very first thing you need to do when you do code is to, I think for Python at least, you need to import some stuff. So let's go with that. I'm not sure if I even used the third one though, so whatever. Right. So the next thing I did was to import the Excel for the 5 crimes, and you can see the table that comes out here. The reason why it comes out pretty nicely is because this is Jupyter, so you can see things in a very nice and clear way. Yeah, so usually we would use the function called drop NaN, but the thing is it doesn't work for this because the NaN is not written as NaN, it's written as Na. So I'll tell you how I deal with that later on. So as you can see, there is the year, there is this thing called level 1 and the value. So level 1 is actually just the NPC. But I don't want all these like central police division bit over here. I just want the NPC names. And I also don't want the total number because that's not very helpful to me. So first things first, I assign the level 1 to a certain div, and in the div I remove the division part of it, so you'll see what it looks like. I made it into a list, so it's literally just a list of the total and NPC names over here. Yeah, so not exciting to look at this. And the reason why it repeats is because we have from 2011 until 2020. So this is where we remove all the unnecessary stuff. So we remove the total, we remove the NA, and we sort them out by year. So 2011 will have its own data frame, aka table. 2012 will have its own table, and so on and so forth. So this is actually a dictionary of tables, and if you know me, you know I like dictionaries. So here we are. Yeah, so each of the years has their own little dictionary now, which is pretty nice. Which means I can now, put the graph for each and every year. So here I can do something very interesting, which is plotting it. Of course, in my favorite color, orange. So each of it will have the year, and this is the number of the crimes, and these are the places. And I do not know what this unknown NPC. It's not really of any importance here. So as you can see in 2011, the places all have a lot of crimes, and I made the scale the same for all of the years, so I can show it to you in animation later on. Yeah, so as you can see, the one with the max here is actually Geylang, and surprisingly Woodlands for some reason. Um, um. And Yishun, where is Yishun even? Oh, there's a Yishun South and Yishun North. I believe even if you added them together, you would not get to Woodlands. So, we are actually not too bad. Yeah, so 2012, you see Geylang is still high. Orchard is still high, but Woodlands has decreased. 2013 you still see Geylang. And actually Yishun, at least Yishun South is decreasing, I would say. 2014, yeah, 2014, 2015. Actually everything, like the total number of crimes does decrease over the years for all of the locations. And at the end of it, you'll see that in 2020, really Yishun is, where is Yishun now? Why is Yishun shifted to one side? Oh no, now if I do the animation, it won't work. Oh well. Anyways, the point is, Geylang is the one with the most crimes, technically. And you might be thinking, oh wait, if we added this two, won't it be more than Geylang? Yeah, actually, if I think about it, you're right. Yishun does have a pretty decent number of crimes. If you add both the north and the south NPCs. So yeah, that's the basic analysis that we can get over here. But as a whole, all of the parts of Singapore do not have a very high number of crimes for the five crime statistics. So I feel like it's a bit pointless to say, oh, Yishun is full of crime, because literally other places have the same amount of crime as Yishun to some extent. Like quite a few places are like that. Yeah, so yeah, that's my conclusion for this part of it. Yeah, like the conclusion is that Yishun does seem to have a lot of crimes in this particular set of data, comparing to some other towns, but at the same time, it's not a substantial number. So here's the animation for the 2011 until 2020 data. Okay, so based on what you've seen so far, it seems like Yishun doesn't have that many crimes. It isn't really that crimesy in a sense. And yeah, some people might object to this and say, but we looked at the absolute number of crimes. Maybe, Yishun has more crimes per population as compared to other regions of Singapore. And maybe that's more important to look at rather than just the absolute number. So what this means is, let's say if you have a town with a place with 10,000 people versus a place with 15,000 people, the place with 15,000 people may have more criminals there, so more crimes may happen as compared to the 10,000 people place, but they could have the same rate, in the sense the same density of crimes. So if we're going to look at it from that angle, well, what did I do? Well, I found another site with the population census. The thing about this is the population census is only taken every 5 years. So I literally stuck to just the 2020 data and did some slightly questionable mapping of the NPCs to areas of Singapore, because the two maps are not exactly the same. So in other words, this isn't 100% accurate already. But it's still useful to look at it, so let's see what it gives us. In order to do the mapping, since the two maps aren't very similar, I had to like literally click on the places in the population census map and the NPC map, and then match it exactly for some of the places. But for the places where the names are very similar, like for example Marine Parade NPC, I just used the NPC and just tagged it together. So I do not expect the results to be 100% accurate. So whatever I say later may not be 100% correct as well. However, if you consider it to be correct, then so be it. You can make your own opinion based on what I've shown. Okay, so we are back at the Jupiter, and we're gonna look at the density of the population thing here. So this is to read that particular table from that website, and I I isolated the table that I want, which is I isolated the 2020 data especially. Yeah, so this is the wonderful mapping that I've done in the form of a dictionary, and I've also done some weird adding on situation here. I believe I've explained that by now, so you can see that for yourself. And using this dictionary, I then I use the name of each of the places in the dictionary, and I map it to the NPC, and basically I find the number of the crimes versus the number of the people and then divide them, and I then create another uh, dictionary with the resultant numbers or the divided numbers. You can see here actually. And to make life easier, let's plot this as well. So we make a data frame and then we will plot it. Yeah, so as you can see, what is this? Oh my gosh. Okay, I believe this is supposed to be Marine Parade or something, Marina Bay, the area. So, yeah, for a very small place with a very few numbers of people, a lot of crime seems to be happening there after all. Unlike literally most of the other towns. And also Changi, I believe Changi is because, it's the airport, nearby the airport, and also nearby the coast. Actually, technically, it is also nearby the coast, the southern coast for that matter. And for some reason, Newton, even though all the rich people live there. Or am I wrong? I don't know. There's a lot of condos around the area. So yeah, as you can see, based on this graph, Yishun is nowhere near the max. And it's quite comparable to quite a few towns. So I can't really say that Yishun is like particularly crime ridden, even amongst the rest of the town that aren't the CBD. So yeah, as you can actually see the exact numbers here. And Yishun is about here we have 3.8. Woodlands is about the same. Toa Payoh actually has more. Of course, some places have lesser, like Tampines and Serangoon and all that. And of course, Geylang. I would like to highlight the wonderful number of Geylang. Very nice. But I won't explain that further. As you can see, Changi is a higher number, and downtown, not really downtown east, but more like downtown central, the CBD area, quite has a high density of crime for the very few amounts of people that actually live there. But I believe this is because a lot of people go there to work, so there's gonna be a lot of people around the area anyway. Hmm. So as you can see, it's not very accurate. But given that, in terms of the general consensus of the higher numbers of population, the more crime there is, it does seem that Yishun isn't really particularly more crime ridden than the other places. Once we look at this ratio, even if you ignore the CBD and all that, you see that Yishun is pretty normal, very normal. Yeah. So in addition to the 5 crimes, there's another set of statistics which was about money lending and harassment. So I looked into those stats as well, and I also did the density data, like that same map, the questionable mappings part as well. And the code is very similar, so I won't bore you with the details. I'll just bring you quickly through it and show you the results. So for that, we have to come back to the computer. Okay, so now let us move on to the money lending and harassment stats, which are actually quite surprising, like, the numbers that are there. There's a lot of cases that happen all over Singapore. So once again, I read the data and, do the exact same thing. The only difference is that I have to split it up into 2 different sets of data points. So yeah, that's the only difference here. I add an extra column, as you can see here, 2 columns. And yeah, the very important part is the plotting, and that's what we're gonna see now. So as you can see from 2011, okay, let me see if I can expand this. Never mind, I'll show you the animation later. So yeah, so from 2011, as you can see, Yishun, where is Yishun even? Yishun North and Yishun South. It isn't the highest, of course. It's in like the middle somewhere. Of course, if you were to add the two, you would get a pretty high number though. That is true. But you can see Woodland seems to have feature a high number of harassment, especially. But money lending in general doesn't have a lot, actually. And 2012, 2013, 2014. Oh, this is wait. Why is this thing suddenly so high? What happened to Woodlands? What happened to Woodlands? 2014. Yeah, we'll scroll down until 2020, and you can see the final result. What's going on in Nanyang NPC? Why is there so much money lending cases there? Okay, never mind. As I the scale is the exact same in all of these graphs. So if the bars are decreasing, it means that the number actually does decrease. If the bars are increasing, it means that it's actually increasing. So yeah, as you can see, Yishun isn't is it has a pretty high number of cases actually, but uh, I mean maybe that is what we should be talking about, the fact that there's a lot of harassment cases. I just realized that there is quite a few numbers of harassment cases in Yishun. Yeah, that is the conclusion. Although there are some other places that do kind of match it to some extent, especially via Woodlands to match it up. Yeah, Woodlands is really the main competitor here at this point. So here's the animation for the 2011 until 2020 data. So we could do the same density thing again. I just copy pasted the thing and you can get these values. But once you find the density, you see the numbers are so small, you get e to the power 10 to the power of negative 5. What is this? And Woodlands is higher than that. So then does that mean that Yishun has more people in it than Woodlands? That's surprising. Anyways, let's create the plot. And yeah, actually Yishun and Woodlands are pretty similar once you do the density thing. I don't know. Maybe Woodlands does have more people than Yishun. I'm not sure. But Changi has a surprisingly high density for the number of people that actually live there. And once again, downtown core, aka Marine Parade, is showing up. Is it Marine Parade? Like it's like the Marina Bay area kind of a bit. Sorry, not Marine Parade. It's the Marina Bay area. I don't remember what's the name of the NPC that's for that location. Yeah. So there you go. It seems like Yishun isn't the most crime-ridden area. It does have quite a few harassment crimes. Surprisingly, not really so much for the five crime stats, but rather for the harassment stats. It does have a lot. Um, but at the same time, I'm not sure if that is the reason why people would consider it crime-ridden per se, because there are other places with an equal number of like crime density and stuff like that. So that is the conclusion for today. I I believe you can make your own conclusion on it. So back to the cam. Right, so as we've seen throughout this entire video, it seems like Yishun really isn't the culprit here. It's just not the one with the most crimes or even near that level. So why is it that it is still being labeled as a crazy and potentially crime-ridden place? Is it really the statistics that lead to this, or is it just the fact that the newspapers are over-representing Yishun and that people are over-representing Yishun when they consider it crazy? It could be just that Yishun has had the rare set of serious things that have happened, like the one we saw in the previous episode, and that may have led people to think that Yishun as a whole has lots of crazy things happening there all the time. But really, it's just a unlucky coincidence. It's not because of Yishun itself, is it? Yeah, so maybe we can look into that in the next few episodes. But for me, I need to get back to data analysis. So I sign off here and bye.